Hey everyone, it's Jonathan and welcome to our now annual recap of the Julien Dubuque International Film Festival. Last year, Nicki, aka Trivial Theater, invited me to join her at JDIFF and we had so much fun we decided to make it an annual thing. So, at the end of April I headed for Dubuque, my work schedule being what it is, I couldn't make it for the entire festival, but we still made the most of it, including going to a few things Wednesday night, the second I got to Dubuque after driving all day across Iowa. We saw a lot of good stuff, we'll be talking about everything we saw, and I highly recommend checking out some of our favorites. I will have what I can linked in the description, either socials or trailers, whatever I can find. But for now, let's get into our first day at the 2026 Julien Dubuque International Film Festival. Okay, JDIFF 2026.
Well, we're back here again.
Year 2 for us.
Woohoo! I feel like there's a fair amount of interesting movies, but certainly a different kind of selection than what there was last year.
Yeah. Last year I feel like there was more like fun.
Yeah.
Not that there isn't this year, but it just doesn't feel the same
Yeah.
as last year.
I can tell you from looking through, because when we initially, I went through when everything came out and kind of tried to decide for myself, what I saw was good, and then you and I kind of talked over everything, and you kind of said what you wanted, and we got everything figured. Especially amongst the shorts, there was a lot of stuff that seemed to be dealing with, grief and mourning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that's an indicator of just the mood of people, or if it's just that just seemed to happen where there was a lot more bittersweet type endings.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we've gone to a whole lot of those specific ones. I think we've kind of tried to
We've kind of gotten some better ones so far. We'll see what the next couple of days brings.
Yeah. Well, and I mean...
And we kind of avoided ones that we knew were going to be too much of a downer.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, too, I think we decided on those ones. And, especially with the short blocks, even amongst, the kind of categorized ones, I mean, it's a student categorization.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that... You might have one that's a real downer, but then you might have another one that's all peppy happy. So it's really hard to tell until you get into them. Because even ones where I thought I knew what was going on, there was a lot of them that kind of hit out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
So we started on Wednesday night when you got here. And the first one that we saw was a short block of 5 very distinct movies.
Very different.
I would agree. Well, I guess
none of them really tonally fit together.
No. I mean, the one thing that I think 4 out of the 5 had going for them was, 3 out of the 5, I guess, they dealt heavily with, CGI and kind of technology. From the perspective of there was a lot of technology used.
Mm-hmm. The first 3 had animation all in completely different ways.
Oh, yeah. And those, they do Q&As afterwards when directors or other members of... cast and crew are present, and those were the 3 that were present for the kind of Q&A afterwards as well.
Well, the one, I remember the first word was chow mein.
Chow mein holiday.
Okay, that one they weren't there.
No, neither, they weren't there, and neither was Frog and Feathers.
Yeah, so chow mein holiday was one that I was grouping in with the 3 with animation, because the opening and closing was animated of chow mein holiday.
Oh, that's true.
Because it had all the, paper cutouts of the tiger.
Mm-hmm. That was cool.
Yes.
And that's, I actually thought that was going to be more, I thought that whole thing was going to be animated, honestly.
The way it started, and it went on for a while as an animated short, but then it went to live action.
Yeah, and then towards the end it kind of hit back to that. And, I mean, it's a low-budget movie. Well, not low-budget. Indie movie is a better way to term it. You know, for those big, actually, set pieces, they didn't do tell, don't show. They did, show, don't tell in a really interesting way. So... I really enjoyed that one, the callbacks to the diner scene where the couple are robbing the diner was great from Pulp Fiction. That whole thing was there. It kind of had a little Thelma and Louise. It was just 2 ladies on the run that both need and absolutely cannot stand each other. I had such fun with that one.
It was good. It was very different than the types of things I usually watch because, you're not... I mostly watch things where you're following the good guys. These are not the good guys.
No.
But it was fun in its own very distinct way. I think I liked it because it's 2 old ladies, and I always like things with old ladies, even if they're evil.
Oh, man. You take the sassy granny from any movie, and you take her times 2. Oh, my goodness. It was great. Laughing my butt off the whole time.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. Perfectly cast.
Yes, very.
And the whole Zhang Shi Zhang Shi
They were talking about Shang-Chi was her grandson. They were trying to get out of a cop.
Yeah.
And she held up a picture of the superhero, Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And the cop recognized the superhero, and then she got away by saying, "Are you racist? Do you think all Asian people look the same?" Even though he's perfectly right. And he's like, no.
No, that was fantastic. And there was some moments of honest kind of suspense.
Yeah.
But it was I think of them, it was probably, well, that and Frogs and Feathers, I think, were probably tonally the most, like, clear narrative.
Probably.
Yeah, just because it was a relatively straightforward tale. Mm-hmm. You're not jumping all over the place between, like, intrigue and noir things, or the idea of them going more behind the scenes kind of a deal. Like, there's no real set narrative to Final Conflict, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So,
yeah.
And then Please Don't Send Help is a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah.
I guess on the subject of Frogs and Feathers, that was, I think, German, maybe?
I want to say it was Danish, because I'm pretty sure they had a Danish flag in there.
You're right, absolutely. I apologize to all the people from Denmark watching. That was a complete and utter thing on my part. I think one of the corresponding, like, production companies that was behind it was something Deutschland. I could be wrong on that, though, too. So
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I saw a Danish flag.
Yeah, no, there was Danish flags all over that first couple of scenes. So when they get back to the house, but that one was so cute. Like, it dealt with grief. It dealt with, I guess, growing up, understanding things from different perspectives,
but not in a way that was too melancholy.
No, definitely not. And it's probably, of the things that we've watched, it's definitely the most, like, traditional way you would describe whimsical.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because Chow Mein Holiday definitely wasn't whimsical.
No. None of them were except for that one, really.
Yeah, no. It was probably, of them, it was probably the greatest outlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely didn't, even from a traditional standpoint, it didn't really fit with everything else that was categorized
None
there.
of them really fit together. I don't know. They were all so completely unique.
Yeah. But I kind of appreciate that. Like, you get too many of one thing.
Yeah.
And you do kind of, like, if it was all drama, like, you would have to have some very distinct dramatic pieces for them to stand out. And the same thing with anything, whether you're talking horror, comedy, any of that stuff. So, not that animation would fall under that umbrella, because you're still talking different genres, but yeah. So, but no, it was, I don't know, do we want to get into kind of what they're about?
Yeah.
So Frogs and Feathers was about this probably, 10-year-old?
Probably about 10, yeah.
Yeah, sort of 10 to 12-year-old that lost her dad, and she is watching over the frogs around their pond in the same way that her dad would, because he would protect the frogs from the birds. And she buried 4 of them over the course of the day, and she's very sad about that, and she goes in to talk to her mom, and there's a misunderstanding the way that only mothers and daughters can have a misunderstanding. And at that same time, she had saved a small frog from being eaten, and she takes it into the bedroom, and she gets a wild idea to kiss it. And unlike Princess and the Frog, it turns into probably a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah, just a little boy who never speaks for the whole movie, which I appreciated.
He did. He was adorable. And the clothes kind of match the coloring of the frog, which makes sense. But then they go off to try and save all the other frogs, and it turns out that it doesn't work. And she has to explain to the little boy why it didn't work. And she starts to understand where her mom is coming from. And there's one of those understandings that comes from experience.
Yeah.
But it kind of, again, sits with the whimsy and sits with the cute, but still tells a very important lesson. It hits grief from a different perspective, but does it well.
Yeah, I appreciated that it wasn't too dour.
Yep, exactly. So the next one up is, it's one of those movies where, like, that the insight that you got from the director being there really helped, I think. It was called Please Don't Send Help, and was kind of just a voiceover and stock footage.
Yeah. The way it started, I thought it was like a teaser, and I thought we were going to get into something, and then it was just over.
Yeah.
So it felt like a trailer for something more than a short film. But it was well put together.
Very much.
It made me want to know what it was about. which we never will know because that was the whole thing.
Yeah, that was totally, it was more like a, you're approaching our planet, here's all the excellent things that we have here. Kind of like a promo reel for the settlement, so that the idea is a settlement on the other side of the universe, something like a Mars settlement or whatever. And the imagery at first shows them touching down and, you know, despite challenges, you know, they live in good housing, they're able to survive, they were able to raise crops and interact with the environment in a good way. Please don't send help, though. We're good. And it's like the wink, wink, nudge, nudge towards the camera, but it's done in a very, like, oh, yeah, great, we're fine. Don't send help. I guess reverse psychology.
I wasn't exactly sure what he was going for. Like, it was obvious that something was wrong, but it wasn't going to explain what the something was wrong. Right.
And that's kind of, it was ambiguous, which I kind of appreciate when it comes to that in a lot of movies. Like, not every movie, but for the, like, being able to have that non-definitive ending. I always, because it takes a certain level of, I guess, bravery to do that. And because people like definitive endings. And again, this was a 3-minute piece, but it was really kind of a project that the director, editor set for himself. He had a budget of $15, which he put towards a $5 voiceover, which was phenomenal. Whoever his voiceover person was, absolutely transformed it from kind of random stock image or stock footage to something so much more. But it was his way to learn how to edit.
Yeah.
Like, he came in, I don't even know if he knew basics.
It didn't sound like it from the way he was talking.
Yeah, like
he basically taught himself how to edit with this project.
Yeah, he was a writer, or is a writer, and just kind of went from there. And we got to talk, like, we were there for the Q&A, and then we talked to him afterwards, just offhandedly, and remarkable individual, like, just a really interesting person.
Yeah.
Like someone you could sit down and have coffee or a beer with, and just probably they could regale you with stories galore.
Yeah, he was really nice.
He was a very cool guy. So we talked about Chow Mein Holiday. My personal favorite, Fatal Conflict Behind the Blood.
I think that was my favorite too.
Yeah.
It was the most entertaining all the way through. I think as a story, Frogs and Feathers, I might have preferred, but as a piece of entertainment, Fatal Conflict.
Agreed. And Fatal Conflict was essentially kind of a Mortal Kombat ripoff. It was described in the little descriptor as Mortal Kombat meets Best of Show. Christopher Guest's Best in Show or Spinal Tap. So kind of an off-the-cuff, improv kind of...
It was like a mockumentary, like behind the scenes. Yeah. Not even behind the scenes, because it was like these were the retired video game characters living in the normal human world.
Exactly. And it was all done with mocap or motion capture.
Yeah.
Which in itself, wow.
It was really well done, and I think it fit this project because I can be hit or miss on motion capture. Like I don't really like I'm thinking mostly of Robert Zemeckis' work. I don't really like what he's done with motion capture. It just looks uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Weird.
Dead eyes.
But even though you did get that with the human characters from this video game, because it is a video game, it fit this.
Oh, yeah.
It did not bother me at all that they looked Uncanny Valley, because these kinds of video game characters look Uncanny Valley. That's just how they look.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, and especially from that era of video game. Like that kind of early to mid 2000s, 2010s. But no, it was fun. So the director brought in a whole bunch of improv actors and gave them the beginning and the ending of each scene, but then they had them improv throughout. And then they used 3D kind of renderings of different characters from like a 3D stock site, and everything after that was mocap. And just the way he described everything was just fascinating. I think it ran a little long. That would be my only kind of thing with it. But overall, I mean, it was fun. It was goofy. At one point, they start talking about, I think it was Canadian games with one called, what was it? Rail to Rail or something like that. But it just
European board games.
Yeah, European board games.
Ticket to Ride is what they were talking about.
Yeah. And that's such a fun game.
And Catan, they were talking about that too.
Yeah. But just The Emperor.
The juxtaposition between who was talking about these games and who was playing them.
Yeah.
Is just, it was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous, but in a very good way.
Yeah, it's just like, you have all these characters with all of these powers, and they're talking about, like, the one kind of Johnny Cage-esque character is teaching a health/history class, and he's talking about lizard people on one end and what to do when you get your period on the other. And at one point, this giant, is a hellfish?
That's what he said his name was, yeah.
Yeah, this giant hellfish.
He was like a big pufferfish/lionfish/ogre.
Shark thing that shoots fire. He goes into the bathroom with his ex, and at this coffee shop, and they
destroy the coffee shop.
They destroy the coffee shop, yeah. And my favorite, though, was the Emperor. Him and his two kind of right-hand guys. Yeah, Kyle and Christopher. And it was set up to be, the director hopes to kind of turn it into like a series. Yeah. So this was really his pilot.
Yeah. He said he was talking to Dropout, which we've gotten into Dropout. Mm-hmm. We've been watching it every time I come up here.
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, perfect.
It would be the perfect fit for this series. This already feels like a Dropout thing. Like something that would be on Dropout.
And the format, too, sets itself up pretty perfectly.
Yes. All the people who are regulars on Dropout would be perfect playing... Just stick them in motion capture suits and have them become these hideous video game characters.
Oh, yeah.
Doing weird stuff.
Agreed. It was, and we actually ran into the director today. Yeah. And he was just so cool. Like, just the really nicest guy. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say about that particular one?
Just that it was probably my favorite of that block.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And on the last one is The Beast of the Black Woods, or the Black Forest. Black Forest, not Black Woods. So it's set in Germany. The style of it was actors shot against a green screen and then superimposed backgrounds, sort of like Hundreds of Beavers. It's kind of a film, not a film noir maybe, but like...
It kind of gave me that feeling.
Yeah. And it was well acted, I thought. The technology side of it was fantastic. It takes place in the 1800s, Bavaria. There's a bunch of people ritualistically killed by what they call the Beast, and no one can figure out what's killing them. And kind of an inept constable is trying to figure things out. All of a sudden, there's a couple of other people that are killed in a similar but different way. And the person that they find out is actually doing the killings up until a certain point was also killed. And gasp, they find out other things. And it was a fun little piece. Again, I think shorts are hard because like there is that point in which a short feels too long. Mm-hmm. And there's just certain places where, as an editor, I don't 100% know where I would have cut it, but it was, again, just a tad bit. And maybe it was just because you think shorts, you think 20 minutes, and this was at least 30. Yeah. Which still falls into that short range, but not.
It's still a short.
Yeah. It's
just a longer short.
Yeah. It had a lot of cute lines. It was well put together. Like, again, the acting was really good. I don't know, maybe my expectations were, I don't know, not even expectations. It was very well put together, just maybe a little on the long side.
Probably. It wasn't my favorite, but I don't tend to like that kind of thing anyways. But for what it was, by the end, I was a lot more invested than I normally would be with that kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it got better for me, even though I didn't love the gruesome subject matter.
No, that's fair. That's fair, because they did a good job with the prosthetics and things to make everything look not great. Mm-hmm. And, there's a bunch of people that lost thumbs, which, R.I.P. thumbs. The other thing that we watched last night was called Homebody. And so this was a full feature-length movie. Again, the director, who also was the main actor and did, like, everything else under the sun, and his, I think, co-producer?
I think so.
Co-producer slash actor.
Who did she play? Because I didn't get a good look at her.
She played the lady that always brought him coffee.
The DoorDasher? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But I was like, is that her? Because she looked different in real life. Yeah.
Well, out of character,
I wasn't sure.
No, they were, again, fantastic people. So nice.
Yes.
Like, just personable as the day is long. And, you're talking into movies, and they're just happy to have people, like, watch their stuff. I mean, there's more expectations than that, but that's kind of the baseline for when you're at a film fest like this.
Yeah.
But genuinely, very cool people.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Homebody is essentially, I don't even know how old he's supposed to be. Maybe in his 30s?
When it started, I thought he was in his 40s.
I thought he was too.
but then they were talking, and like, I don't remember what the line was, but there was something that they said. I was like, wait, are they supposed to be younger? Because I really thought he was in his early 40s at the beginning of the short.
I did
or
too.
Not short. This was a full length feature, not
right,
short.
Right. I would say he's probably, because he did have a babyish face, but it definitely was on the upper end of whatever he was.
He had a younger face with world-weary eyes.
Very, very much. And I mean, if you were recluse from the world and your girlfriend had abandoned you, I suppose that would be you too. But we're just going to say late 20s, early 30s. We'll be generous, I guess. Or we'll kind of go for what they were thinking.
I really have no idea, yeah.
So he lives with his parents. He was either dumped or left behind by his girlfriend, and for the past 2 years he had been living at his parents' house, working a remote job, and essentially being a recluse. Mm-hmm. And then his parents come along and say, hey, we've been putting off selling the house. We're going to sell the house. You have 3 months to find something different. Mm-hmm. And at this time, he had been asked to come to New York for a job interview because of what he could do. And he kept putting it off because it would require him to leave what his comfort zone was, I guess.
Yeah.
So then the rest of the movie is, I mean, it's a road trip movie. Mm-hmm. He makes his way across the states from California to New York. He has many misadventures, including looking at the world's largest picnic basket in Ohio. He has kind of a love interest. I guess she's more than kind of a love interest. Someone that he talks to all the time, but they never have talked.
They've never talked in real life. Like, they only talk by text. Mm-hmm. The way they were setting it up, I thought the same thing as his friend. I thought he was getting catfished. I didn't think she was real until she was there. And then they didn't get together. I wanted him to end up with the DoorDasher, actually. I thought she was a much better fit for him. And she was like the best character in the movie.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
She was the most realistic feeling person in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is another one where I felt like it got long in places, but every time the DoorDasher would show up, it's like, okay, I like this now. I'm back in the movie. It doesn't feel too long anymore.
Absolutely. But it was, for all the things he was up against, they didn't write it in such a way where it was so dark.
No,
like, he was up against a lot of stuff. Like, at one point, his luggage was stolen out of the back of his car, which for some reason the hatch kept flying up. Mm-hmm.
It's like, if it were me, I would have gotten that fixed before I drove the thing across the entire U.S. continent.
He manages to he's got like a Mini Cooper. He manages to run it off the road. He saves his cousin from a fight with a couple of guys that the cousin had insulted. But with everything that happens, it's a very gentle, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is nice, like, because it didn't go overly dramatic, which I didn't have an issue with, because there's so many movies where it does get so overly dramatic.
Yes. No, this is one, yes, it did feel too long in some places, but also I didn't mind as much as I have with other movies that I felt like they're going too long.
Yeah.
Because I never felt like I didn't like what I was watching.
Right.
Because a lot of times if a movie feels like it's too long and you just hate everybody, it's like, I hate this now.
Right.
I don't feel like that with this movie. Like, I feel like it could have been trimmed up a bit, but I liked the characters, and I was invested in his journey, so.
Absolutely. And the things that mattered at the end were, he grew as a character. He was someone you could root for, which was nice. There wasn't, the skeletons in the closet weren't really skeletons. They were just normal human interaction, which, again, I really appreciated. And I certainly was the same boat. I wasn't looking at my watch constantly. But no, it was well put together. You could see that there was a lot of passion and love behind it. The way it was shot was really gorgeous. Again, they were talking kind of throughout, or they talked through the Q&A through some of the processes, and they kind of rolled with what happened. If it rained, they implemented that into the actual storyline. They took advantage of what was around them. They did a great job of making, because they shot pretty much all in the East Coast. I think they ended up in Ohio at one point, but for the most part, it was all pretty condensed. And they found a lot of stuff to kind of keep everything looking like it's different areas of the country. Mm-hmm. So that was good.
Yeah.
It was a solid movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Mm-hmm. And you can, with all of these guys, they all were talking about like their next project. So none of them were resting on their laurels. They weren't putting all of their eggs in one basket with whatever they were working on at present. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Again, super nice people to talk to as well afterwards.
Yeah. I was surprised at how many people we actually got, not just the Q&A, like we got to talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. And they were so incredibly nice, and it made you want to seek out more of their work, which I don't know what we can do to kind of make sure that we put out their like websites or social media to try and something.
If we have any, we can stick them in the description.
Absolutely. Definitely worth seeking out their other works just to support really good artists. Mm-hmm. So then tonight was actually a shorter day for us.
Yeah. Well, yesterday was short too.
It's true.
But that was because I got in at 5 and that's when the first movie was. So
exactly.
Today we just didn't have as much to do because we didn't really want any of the ones in the morning. They were all kind of a lot of ones that looked like they were going to be downers.
Yeah.
So we just avoided them. And then the one we were going to see early afternoon got sold out. So we ended up just being tourists in Galena instead.
Yeah, that was fun though. We saw some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So the first one we saw was a documentary called Allie Eats America.
Which is probably my favorite that we've seen so far of all the things.
Yeah. It was, so basically there was, Allie is a 17-year-old that gets bone cancer in his scapula, and he has to go into chemotherapy for, I think, 17 weeks.
I don't remember the length of time, but it was long enough that it was torturous.
Yeah, and then they were going to do surgery to remove his clavicle and other areas of bone, replace it with a titanium piece, and then he had to go back under for another round of chemotherapy, which was equally long, to make sure everything was taken care of. And then, he was, in theory, going to be cancer-free. And throughout all of that time, they had gone through all the meals that they had at the hospital, and Allie's sense of taste had kind of left him.
I've heard that can happen with chemotherapy. You kind of, your taste buds just stop working correctly. He said everything was tasting like metal.
Oof. So they decided that, he wanted to taste everything. Mm-hmm. When he got his taste buds back, he just wanted to try everything.
He started watching a lot of, Food Network shows and food travel shows.
Mm-hmm. Specifically Anthony Bourdain, which the man was an absolute legend with the way he went about stuff. I
didn't know what time that this was filmed, and they started talking about watching Anthony Bourdain. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Where's this going to go? Because we all know what happened with Anthony Bourdain. I was like, how long ago was this? But then it said later that it was 2017, 2018 when he was going through all this.
Yep, and then Anthony Bourdain died at the back end of 2018.
Yeah.
So basically, they crowdfunded not against Allie's wishes, but as kind of a, is it okay to do this, and stuff. And they ended up making an insane amount of money off of this Kickstarter, for this.
It was a GoFundMe,
GoFundMe.
To have him go to different restaurants in between rounds of chemo, while he was able to taste, go and try different things.
And then after everything was done as well, and they raised something like $50,000 to be able to do this. In the meantime, stories got out about it, and that's ultimately how the producer and the director of this came to find them.
Yeah. I think it was after the Kickstarter, someone wrote an article, and then the filmmakers read the article and got in touch with them, and then basically followed him through his entire cancer journey, and then through his travels afterwards. Mm-hmm.
For I think until the end of 2018 or 2019.
It was into 2019 for sure, yeah.
Absolutely. And obviously he's a teenager, so there's going to be moments of ups and downs, but, endless positivity, and he took every experience as just such a grateful thing. And
which a lot of that was because of his mom, which he credited that too, because he was actually there, another person who was there in person. I was really surprised that the subject of the documentary was at the film festival, but he credited his attitude towards his mom.
Oh yeah.
And his mom was, he has a great mom.
Oh yeah, instrumental, absolutely instrumental. But it was as much of a feel-good movie as one could be. The thing is, they focused on the cancer, but only as long as the cancer was
Yeah.
a prevalent thing.
But it was very prevalent at the beginning, because we had watched the trailer when we were planning what we were going to watch, and I just thought that this was going to be more of a food travel documentary. So then the cancer thing was going on and on. I was like, I hope we're not about to watch this kid die.
Yeah. Well, and that was a question that was brought up too. There's always that kind of holding your breath until the last minute.
Yeah, there was another lady in the audience was like, I'm so glad to see you here. Sometimes you never know with these things, like if the text at the end is going to say, and then he died.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you'd never know.
You don't. Well, and even, a reoccurrence of cancer, being that it's been 8 years since the initial documentary filming began. The mom was talking about how there was a reoccurrence because when Allie, when he was like 4, had some kind of, was it non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or something like that?
Something like that. Something that had to be treated with radiation, which they think is what ultimately caused the bone cancer.
Yep.
So, yeah. The kid's gone through it.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, and he, I guess he'd be probably 24 or 25 now, thereabouts.
He's in his 20s, yeah.
Yeah, but over the course of time, with all of the places that he went and the things that he saw, he got to work with a whole bunch of different chefs, try things out. He actually got to speak with Anthony Bourdain. Never got to meet him in person, but managed to have conversations with him. He got to meet Wolfgang Puck and
that was a great scene. Like, he was at a restaurant working with the restaurant, like learning how to make gnocchi, and then suddenly Wolfgang Puck is there, and then he's got to feed Wolfgang Puck the food he just made.
But yeah, no, and like it was incredible. It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
And again, it was just real. And
yes,
that was such a nice, not that you don't get that all the time, but it was just a good story.
Yes.
And true.
Yeah.
No, it was excellent. I agree. It's probably one of the top things I've seen as well. Just an outside that, like a documentary that just hit right.
Which you don't always get with documentaries. Sometimes you just never know how a documentary is going to hit. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Is it going to be depressing? You never know. Thankfully, this one had a good ending.
It did. It very much did. And on the subject of food, I don't know how we did it, but I guess maybe it was location. The last thing we watched was in the same theater as Allie Eats America. And it was...
Fork in the Road.
Yeah, Fork in the Road. And I think what drew us to it was the fact that Nick Offerman was involved.
That's what drew me to it. Like, he was in the trailer. I was like, oh, Nick Offerman. He's in a food documentary. We've got to watch this one. Absolutely.
And the trailer didn't really say a whole lot about it.
No, not really. I didn't really know what to expect. And Nick Offerman was not really the star. He kind of was a thread through the movie, but it was about a ton of different farmers all over the U.S., even to Alaska, and the struggles that they're going through with all the different things facing farmers today, between corporate farms taking over and climate change and just...
not regulations, but like policy changes and things like that. But just the diversity of people. You had urban farmers, you had kelp farmers, which is where everything started, was kind of an emphasis on the diversity of what can be done with kelp, both as food, as fertilizer, as weed killer. Or maybe it was more fertilizer. Maybe it was...
I think it was more fertilizer. I don't know about weed killer.
Yeah, no, it was fertilizer. You're right. I got thinking about this stuff, but yeah, it was a natural way to do what's needed to maintain the integrity of the soil.
Yes. And not even maintain it, to make it better.
Yeah.
Because soil that's another thing that was touched on, how depleted the soil is because of just monocropping, only planting corn. Like, not everybody in Iowa, but like that's kind of a stereotype about Iowa. It's like, oh, it's all corn.
Oh yeah. No,
and a lot of farmers will only plant one thing and always plant one thing. Maybe rotate 2 things between years, but like it's a problem, and the soil is the lesser for it. And I'd never heard of turning kelp into something that could restore soil.
Oh yeah.
Like, I learned so much about kelp. I went from never even considering kelp as a food source to like, I want to try that. There was a pair of, one was I think a chef and another woman who wrote a cookbook, and they were making a chicken with kelp and butter. I was like, that looks amazing.
It does. It very much did.
And then the filmmaker afterwards talked about it. He said, yeah, I had some while I was there. It was really good.
Well, kind of the kelp actually brined the inside of the
Yes.
turkey or the chicken too.
Yeah.
So we just ate and I'm hungry again. But no, there's a diversity of farmers. Like you had an Inuit or indigenous guy.
An Alaskan native.
Yeah, an Alaskan native. You had a boat guy or an Alaskan that worked on a boat. He had gone from not lobster, like clams and mussels.
I think he was in Maine. I don't think he was in Alaska.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, because
somewhere maybe it wasn't Maine, but it was somewhere in that area.
Yeah, you're right. So he had gone through all these different kinds of fishing, and he had settled on kelp because it was the only thing that was sustainable at that point.
Yeah.
But he was leading like a whole new movement for kelp. And again, that's kind of the director had said that's where everything had started, was ocean farming and what it could do to help other farmers all over the place. But otherwise, yeah, you had an urban farmer. You had a set of people that basically lived like Amish. They had no electricity. They did like horses and the kind of equipment you would have back in the 1800s. You had people that had been dairy farmers. They went to beef. And then they managed, though, to find a way to implement dairy farming because that's what the family had come from.
Because they were some of the people who have been, like, boxed out because of corporate farming.
Right.
Walmart was one of their, I think it was Walmart, was one of their biggest
Walmart
buyers. And then Walmart was like, no, we've got a better idea. We're going to buy from, or maybe
doing it in-house.
Yeah.
They
so then they
own
weren't going to buy
implement.
from this small family farm anymore.
Yeah. And then there was several others as well. They covered stuff from all over. Oh, they had a Hispanic lady in California, I think, who
I can't
worked.
remember where she was, but yeah,
This
she's
is southwest.
Yeah.
But she had been like a picker of all kinds of different crops, like a farm worker, and she actually got sick because of all the pesticides. So she had to have like a complete hysterectomy, and then she started up her own organic farm. And they provided, and again, took it to local farmers market, and it became a steady thing for folks that needed that on a local level, because there are so many food deserts out there now. You talk about small towns, you talk about inner city. There's no places to be able to get those essential fresh pieces or fresh things if you don't have the cash to be able to do so.
Yeah.
So that was a fascinating documentary.
Yeah.
So much learned.
Yeah. Stuff I never even thought about.
Yeah. And certainly gives you, peace of mind. The best thing that was said a couple of times was that we throw up our hands because it's like, what can you do on a local level? But everything that you can do is a series of small solutions, not big ones.
And they said they specifically were trying to make the documentary to give people hope that things aren't going to be horrible forever.
Right.
And to try and give people new ideas for ways to improve things.
Absolutely. And like everything else, it comes back to innovation and thinking outside the box. The one couple that had the dairy, they started doing ice cream.
Yes.
And on a very significant level, they were making strides. But yeah, it comes back to, it's not a new concept. Buying locally, shopping. If you have like a farmer's market or organic sales or places where you can buy organic, or where the people that are,
know who grew it.
Yeah, exactly. Farm to table as much as you can. And, and in the world now, it's not always easy to do that, but we get so caught up in that with reason, obviously, but there's more than just, if you can get yourself out of, if there's a way to stay out of crisis mode and pony up for those little bit better fruits and veggies or meat, long term it's better. But again, that's not always possible. So I don't know. It's that eternal question and eternal cycle of where to start.
Yeah.
So, and I guess it's looking for the good.
Yes.
Because like anything good, you do have to dig for it a little bit.
Yeah, really.
So, but if there are ways to sort that out, it's certainly worth it. Welcome to my TED Talk. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at for now. Those are the things that we saw, and I know you kind of mentioned what was your favorite, but of the things that we've seen the past 2 days, what would you say is your favorite?
Probably Allie Eats America. And as just a funny thing, Fatal Conflict was right up there also.
Agreed. both from talking to the director and everything of Fatal Conflict.
Yeah.
Al Eats America was amazing, but I gotta go with Fatal Conflict just because it was so silly.
Oh, yeah.
And the mocap, just talking to the director on a couple of occasions and having him come up to us. Remember our goofy faces? I mean, like it was out of the blue. It was like out on the street.
Yeah. Yeah, he was super nice.
Yeah. He even asked our opinion about, aspects of the short, and
yeah.
It was unexpected.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was really great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I think that's about it for now, I think.
Yeah, that's all we've seen the past couple of days. I think we'll have a lot more to talk about tomorrow because our day is packed.
The next 2 days are pretty full.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So I guess we will see you in the next one.
Until next time!
Hey everyone, just interrupting here between days to let you know that after I got back, I tried to look into some of the filmmakers we met, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that we were already familiar with the director of Fatal Conflict, Nino Mancuso, because he was also the director of a short that Nicki and I saw at last year's JDIFF, the first sequel, which makes sense because that was also a motion capture animated short. I don't know if that one was improv like this one was. The plot was a little more straightforward. It was about a group of cavemen, and the storyteller of the group was, if I remember right, kind of goaded into inventing the sequel. Anyway, I don't usually love motion capture stuff, but Nino Mancuso seems to have a pretty entertaining style. Also, coming up in our coverage of Day 3, I feel like we didn't talk about it enough, so I felt like I needed to make absolutely certain that I point out how good the short Soapbox is. I will have the trailer linked in the description, but I hope this thing gets a wider release somehow. I think my ultimate takeaway from the entire festival was this was the absolute best thing we watched all week, and nothing else came close. Like, Soapbox is going to have to make it into my 2026 recaps. Not even just my animation ranking, but overall my best of the entire year. It was that good. Okay, on to Day 3 at the Julien Dubuque International Film Festival.
Well, should we talk about the end of the day first and get it over with?
I mean, we saw a lot today, like a lot of shorts and a fair amount of features given. It was a packed day.
It was a very full day.
But yeah, the end of the day was certainly
something.
You're right. It's one of those things where you would have had to have been there to find it funny. But going through it was just like a weird set of circumstances that you just don't expect.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to our last thing of the day was the 16 millimeter celluloid jukebox, which is a yearly thing that they do.
We did it last year.
Yep, and I've done it the years previous to that. And essentially what they do is it's an archive of all of these rare 16 millimeter reels, and they kind of build out clips and they kind of categorize them under different things. Like a common one is anti-drug stuff. They do after school specials. It's a whole thing. This year it was like hee-haw and hippie. So the first reel that they had was going to be hee-haw, so country music, banjo stuff.
It was like old-time bluegrass.
Exactly, all that kind of stuff. We sang E-I-E-I-O at one point, which is another weird thing to add in there. But then the other half would be hippie. We get through the first half, and they did a fair amount of cute music numbers. We sang E-I-E-I-O, which was, I felt closer to everybody in that group than I could ever possibly hope to feel close to people before. But then they got into this documentary about, the guy lived a really interesting life. He was called the Banjo Man, and I think the doc was done in the 70s, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Well, it looked like it was done in the 30s because of the degrading of the reel, but
yeah.
I could tell from some things that were said, it was like, this is not from the early 1900s. This is much later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then I saw a school bus, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, this is like 60s, and then the end it said 70s.
Yeah, exactly. So that went on for a good 2/3 of
forever.
Yeah. Again, it was interesting, but where you have all these 3-minute music pieces, and then all of a sudden you're onto this, I don't know, half hour, 40-minute documentary?
At least.
And about a guy that, although interesting, it didn't really, it completely broke the vibe of everything, which happens, and maybe it's just us. We had a long day. We were just when the reel changed out, we kind of packed up shop and left. So we went to a bar for supper, and it was, 10:30, and they kind of pack up the streets, at least kitchen-wise, around that time. And we get in there, and there's a nightclub set up in the basement that they do on weekends. And the music was just like, it was techno, and it was just like, it's like nonstop. There wasn't a break in songs. It just, one thing led to another.
So we went from old time country music to
like
beating techno.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know what? If you can't have variety, that's what these film fests are about, is running the gambit. And we certainly ran the gambit today, but then we ordered food, and they didn't have walleye po' boys because the place specializes in Cajun. And so they took care of John's order and got him resituated, but then they completely dropped my food from the menu. We didn't end up paying for dinner, and they were super cool people, like across the board. Things happened, and they understood that, and
they were really nice.
I was
not expecting them to comp the whole meal. But...
Oh, I know. That was crazy. And then the cook had a Red Bull in hand, and him and the bartender were out front smoking and dancing.
It was just an odd night.
It was just a very strange set of circumstances. Again, it's not like a knee jerk or like a complete and utter knee slapper of a night. It's just a weird set of circumstances, and I'm sure it's you had to be there thing. But
probably, but
yeah, across the board.
It'll be a night we don't forget.
Yeah, that's for sure. But the day was certainly interesting in all the things that we covered.
Yeah.
So we started out with a feature-length documentary called The Last Picture Show, which was essentially the documentarian lives in Seattle, and he was covering kind of the fate of small movie theaters across a good chunk of the western states. So basically Nebraska, west, not including like Texas. But it traveled like everywhere: California, New Mexico, Colorado. He was everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Just taking pictures and interviewing people at essentially like the last theater for miles. Because like we talk about theaters dying in the Midwest. Like where I am, we're the only theater for miles. You have to go like almost an hour to get to the next theater.
Yeah.
But apparently it's even worse out west.
And he kind of said there was multiple reasons for that. One was the fact that a lot of them have closed down. Streaming, obviously, COVID reduced the number quite a lot. The ebb and flow of the movie industry obviously plays into that. Economics with bookers and just the general state of a lot of like mainstream movies. Just age of some of the people that have run the movie theaters for so long, and just small town life generally. Also, too, though, the one thing that the guy said, just from a general perspective, the towns are a lot further apart.
Yes.
So you do kind of have a cinema desert to start with if your town doesn't have a cinema. So that kind of started everything off. But yeah, from there, everything else kind of snowballs on top of an already kind of iffy situation. So, but it was cool because, there is a lot of not great, but there was also, they made sure to keep it balanced. They talked about the good things, the way that diversification of what you're showing, not necessarily taking the blockbusters that Hollywood is giving. One of the subtitles or sub-chapters was about how people are, sick to death of Marvel. So I think he did it over the course of, 7 years?
I don't remember the exact length of time, but it was quite a while. He took a while to both drive around the West and then edit, of course. So I don't know what it was beginning to end.
But yeah, it was quite a process. I mean, it was the one kind of consistent thing was across quite a few of the theaters. He must have visited a lot of them when Shazam 2 was out.
Apparently, yeah.
Because at the end, he was kind of doing the recap of, okay, this is this theater, that's what happened with that theater. And then he made sure to specifically say that Shazam 2 was considered an office or a bomb because it didn't make back its money.
And part of the problems that at least one of the big problems he was talking about is like the contracts that the studios make the theater sign is like, you must keep this in your theater for this amount of time.
Oh yeah.
So if a theater takes a movie and nobody wants to see that movie, they're still stuck with it.
Oh yeah.
And they have to dedicate a screen to it, which is a problem.
It is. Well, especially if you're a single
screen theater. Yeah,
right,
that's
exactly.
terrible for them.
Oh yeah. And for so many of them, why would you have more than one screen if you're in a town of 2,000 people or 5,000 or whatever?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's it's a big problem. And there were some good questions brought up in the Q&A, and the guy was super informative. I wish I could have gotten his information, but I guess you could look up the movie and go from there. But he's taken this as a very educational thing and has provided it to a lot of places, or plans to provide it to a lot of places, just for an education purpose and bring light.
I think he said fundraising too.
Yeah, very much.
To give it to the theaters so that they can play it to raise money for things that they need to do, because the theaters aren't making enough money to do renovations and stuff.
Yeah, a good chunk of them aren't, and that's the thing about any brick and mortar. You got to keep your base costs don't change, and a bad roof or a bad projector or changing of seats, it all affects you. So, but it's also at our favorite venue too, Five Flags Theater. We got our own little balcony. Yeah,
think box. Where Statler and Waldorf sit in the Muppets. It's one of those.
Yeah, exactly. We weren't going oh, but that was later in the day we had that. But so the next thing up was a short block, and the focus was largely kind of animal-based or nature and environmental-based things. It wasn't like quite a gambit, but you did have quite a variety of different approaches, I guess. So the first thing up was called Ocean Watch, which was kind of I would almost say promotional video for, it's called the Falcor 2. It's a vessel that goes out to sea, is absolutely loaded with scientific equipment and labs, and basically they have a submarine that's called Sub Bastion, and they go down to the bottom of the ocean and they explore and track and scan the bottom of the ocean. And
the bulk of the documentary was about like the vents where a lot of undersea life congregates. And I had the same thought at the beginning about it feeling like a promotional video. Like it was almost like they were advertising the ship.
Yeah.
But then it did transition into the bulk of the documentary being about the vents and mapping the ocean floor. So
that's super interesting. Like some of the things that they showed down at the bottom, it didn't. When I read the kind of blurb about it, I thought it was going to be more in the realm of a traditional nature documentary, just from the perspective of the ship. But yeah, no, it was an interesting mix of promotional video and some of the things that they do, which, I mean, that's how you bring light to this stuff is, toot their horn, and they were certainly tooting their horn. So the next one up was called Fragmented. This was probably the real outlier of this group.
Yeah.
Very, very artistic.
It felt like they had a good idea, but I kind of didn't love the execution.
I think it went on for too long.
If it had been different, I don't think it would have been. Because, the premise of the thing was there was a woman she was a ballet dancer. She got an injury. She couldn't dance professionally for a while. So she was, I guess, doing sort of an art dance piece to bring attention to the plight of the coral reefs. And, on its surface, that's an interesting idea, but it was kind of dull. It felt like it could have, in different hands, it could have made, a really cool, live-action Fantasia set piece. Because, I love that kind of thing. Fantasia was my favorite movie as a kid. Putting science and art together is just an awesome idea. My favorite section of Fantasia was the dinosaurs and the prehistoric life. And this felt like it could have been something like that, but with a dancer dancing through scenes. But she was kind of just in an empty room, and there was maybe a couple projections on the back wall. The idea was good. It just felt like maybe she needed somebody to help her bring the idea to life in a more dynamic way.
Yeah, because she was basically living out, kind of doing what the coral would do, because the main focus was, the bleaching of coral. So, she would, have her legs or arms up in the air kind of waving in the sea currents
mimicking
and stuff.
The movement of undersea, stuff in the coral reef.
Yeah, exactly. And, the connotation, the metaphor worked. Because, the idea was that she needed to rest and have respite to be able to recover, and the same is true of the coral reefs. But it was, I don't know, more about her than it was the coral reefs.
Kind of, especially when it had close-ups of her doing pained faces.
Yeah.
You could tell that she was putting on a pained act. This is not filmed during a time when she was injured. This was after the fact. Like, she's in recovery, so she's not in great pain, but there was a couple points where she looked like she was putting on a very pained face that was not genuine, and you could tell.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is actually, at the end, it was talking about how it was one in a series. I think it was called Climb Art. So it is sort of a combination of the stories of different environmental plights and how something in someone's life kind of relates to that particular plight. And maybe the other ones, like maybe after you see a couple, you kind of get
maybe in the series they're better.
Know.
Like, I like this idea.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very good idea. It just felt like it needed a little something more.
I would imagine too, like as what is it, like abstract theater? It's not abstract theater. What is there's a term of like
interpretive dance.
Interpretive dance. That's exactly what this felt like.
Yeah, I think that probably is what it was.
Yeah, but it was taken to a point where if you didn't know the people that they were specifically talking about or have a little bit of insight into some part of that, outside of the fact, okay, coral reefs are suffering, we need to do something. I don't think it's going to have maybe as much impact. And it was very, like you said, it was theatrical, which is good, but there wasn't, you were rooting for her, but you weren't engaged in the story because it was so outside of just everything.
I think part of it, too, was it just wasn't as dynamic as it could have been. I think it was on purpose because, like, the specific problem that she's talking about is the bleaching of the coral reefs. So the color in the whole thing was very desaturated.
Oh, yeah.
So it just added to the dullness. I mean, it wasn't very long, so it wasn't like a chore to get through.
No.
I felt like there was a good idea that could have been fleshed out better.
Right. And I mean, that's anytime you have these, they take time to kind of get to where they're polished. And like I said, again, as you said, the idea was really cool. It just, there was some finesse or maybe some pre-production that could have helped it to be something a little bit more than what it was. It was cool at the end. They were talking about, like, they do all the thanks and stuff. And the costumes that she wore were recycled, or they were pulled from plastic.
It was like plastic that had been sourced from the ocean, like stuff that had been just tossed in the ocean. They were gathering up plastic out of the ocean and turning it into ballet costumes.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
They were really unique. Like, there was a lot of really cool stuff about it. The elements of it were fantastic. It's just the way it was put together maybe needed a little bit more work.
Yeah, probably.
The next thing we had was turn off the machines. This one was probably the most traditional not even traditional documentary, but you had a gentleman named Ethan who basically lived off the grid, like extreme off the grid, like complete and utter. He had a landline, was probably the most advanced piece of technology that he had.
Yeah.
They were out in the country up in Maine, very anti-capitalist.
Anti-consumerism.
Yep.
They did everything themselves, basically.
Yeah, self-sufficient.
You could see some stuff in the background, like, of the house. Like, they had some, I don't want to say modern things, but, like, some stuff that you could tell they did not make themselves.
Right.
But I don't know how much you can avoid that completely.
Oh, agreed. Well, and they do a lot of, like, it's not just about making stuff themselves. It's about, like, bartering isn't the right word. Like, I
mean, part of it was bartering. Like, they were trading services with other people nearby.
Right. So that's probably where a lot of that stuff came from. Like, they would, like, give someone a goat and they would, to keep the breeds, like, their biogenetics, or the crossbreeding. So there's some diversity.
Avoiding inbreeding, so they're not breeding with their own stuff over and over again.
Exactly. Their water source came from rainwater. They had a fire burning stove. They talked a lot about how your average person, that's got a house, your carbon footprint is large, and you're always paying for these services. You're dependent on everybody else. And it was really interesting because the guy had chronic Lyme's disease, and still, like, in the wintertime, he was with another guy running, like, round hay bales, not the big ones, but, like, smaller round hay bales up a hill.
Yeah. That was my favorite shot of the whole thing, them pulling the hay bale past these big transformers.
Oh yeah. It was really well shot. They kept it very neutral in the way that they approached things. And the thing about Ethan was he was involved in the community. Like, he wasn't like a recluse. And he had a wife and 2 kids. that were involved in the community too. They went to normal school. They kind of did all that stuff. They just preferred, homesteader life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was kind of at the beginning when it first started. I was getting like weird cult vibes, but then as it went on, it was like, okay, that's not what this is, because he's not like telling people they must do what he's doing. So it wasn't the same as like a cult.
Right. It absolutely wasn't.
It just gave me that impression at the beginning. And like as hardcore as he is, the fact that he sent his kids to public school did make me feel better about the whole thing in a weird way, because he's not like forcing them to be recluses with him.
Right. And he's not even like, he said the way that the co-directors talked, that he was largely invested in the community. Mm-hmm. They brought out a fair amount of people through just word of mouth. Mm-hmm. They don't charge for anything, which not charging for something isn't the only, that doesn't stop the transmission of weird stuff. But like, he seemed to be genuinely just a really good person that wanted to talk to people about what he did. And
yeah.
So.
And I will also say, as much as at the beginning it felt like it was sort of almost propaganda towards his way of life, the further we got into it, the more you could tell that it was not the filmmaker's intent to make you think that you need to do what he's doing. Because, like, it was almost more about what was not said by his family than what was said. Because you could tell that his wife, as much as she also believed in this, I don't think she was happy. I was not getting happy vibes from her. Just the things that she was saying and not saying.
Yeah.
Just, you could tell that they were not saying some things.
Well, and I mean, when you know that the other stuff is out there, I mean, if things stay good, it's like anything. When life is running along at a decent pace and everything is steady, life is good. Mm-hmm. But, you have a bad, they talked about drought. They talked about all that kind of stuff. If too much of that stuff happens, or someone gets sick, or whatever it might be. Yeah, exactly. What happens? How do you still have to live within the context of the confines of a normal community? Mm-hmm. Like if you're Amish or Mennonite or anything else, I mean, I kept thinking back to, throughout history, there's been these utopian societies, and I'm not saying that he falls into that realm, because he does seem to have his head pretty firmly planted, or his feet firmly planted.
He seems more down to earth than a lot of people who are doing the same thing.
Yeah, but all of those, to some extent, they work for a while and then they don't because of something happens, something
like the religious aspect and someone trying to control the rest of the people.
Right. Which again is not the case here.
Which did not seem like that was what was going on here, because that's what I was afraid of at the beginning.
Oh, same, yeah. Like they sing a song of thanks for what they have on their plate, like you would before a meal, like a prayer kind of a thing. And at one point he did do teachings at the
Universalist Unitarian, maybe?
Yes.
It was a Universalist Christian church.
Yeah. But that could have also just been like a meeting place, because it's a small town. Like not small, like not tiny, but...
Yeah, I didn't get the impression that he was taking on the role of a pastor or anything.
No.
I think they were...
It's more
They might have
place.
been attending the church, but I don't think that was the point of that specific meeting.
Right. And there's just, like John said, it's kind of that balance of what you can control, and you can only stay self-sufficient if you're able to take care of yourself. And there's a lot of things that can happen that can kind of toss that into issues. So, and it's in how you respond to those issues that take you forward or whatever. So,
yeah.
But no, a very interesting documentary. The one thing that they did say, and I think it was the thing that I pulled most from it, and it's the reason that I really liked it, they have a lot of people that come in and, they'll stay with them and kind of go, tell me about your life. And a lot of folks that in some way, shape, or form will follow some part of that homestead, and I think it was Ethan's wife that was like, people come here and we've gone other places and we take pieces. You can glean this or that from this, but it's not necessarily the entire lifestyle, which is true. You pick what works for your specific situation, and that's huge.
I think that was one of those scenes where, yes, it was about what was being said, but there was also what was not being said, because she was also talking about them getting older.
Yeah.
And not finding someone who was going to do it exactly the way they wanted, and not being sure what the future was going to hold.
That's fair too. Very fair. And it's good that they put that in there. It's important to see that it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And I don't think they think that, but it certainly is something to consider. And then the last one was Melrakki, the Arctic Fox, Queen of Kevlar?
Melrakki, the Arctic Fox, Queen of Caviar.
Caviar? Yeah, probably.
Iceland.
So. It was an island. It was an island off of Iceland, and they were in a fjord. So life is good.
There's one house on this island that they were based out of, and they were filming a specific fox.
Yep.
Like following her around for a few weeks.
Exactly. Well, I think it was like 9 or 10 days, and they had to get out.
It was a short amount. Yeah, maybe it wasn't just that. It was a short amount of time compared to the other documentaries we've been seeing. It was much shorter.
Absolutely. And with that too, it's the way it came off, it felt like, I mean, again, it wasn't Planet Earth level. You don't have a massive studio behind you by any stretch, but it definitely kind of had that vibe of a professionally done thing. And it didn't have the feel of a Planet Earth documentary just because you don't have the budget and everything behind it. But it did have a professional gleam to it, or professional shine to it.
It felt like something I would have watched on PBS as a kid.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like, it felt like something you would watch, like, in class. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was just two people, you know, I don't know if they were husband and wife or just, like, business partners or what, but...
I think they were husband and wife.
That would make sense.
I feel like that they might have said that. Don't quote me for sure, but I'm pretty sure that they were partners.
Yeah, I think you're right now in retrospect, because the name of their production company, or the name of the whatever it was, Glatz Productions or Glass Documentaries or whatever it was, related back to that. But yeah, no, it was the wife did the voiceover work, and she was phenomenal.
She was. I almost, when it first started, I was like, I feel like I know this voice. I didn't, because like she was there at the end, and I don't know who she was, but I almost felt like she sounded like a professional actress.
Yeah.
Like somebody I would have recognized. I just couldn't pinpoint who.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think they had started to try and like kind of do all the different Arctic foxes on the islands, but for whatever reason, they kind of ended up focusing on this one.
Well, this one chased away all the other ones. Like, she had a huge territory. That's why they called her the queen of this place.
Oh, that's right.
Because she got rid of everybody else in the vicinity. Mm-hmm. So she was the one that they focused on because she made herself the vocal point.
She's a diva.
I guess so.
Yeah, the only time you ever saw another Arctic fox was like when her and her mate were kind of playing.
Yeah. And
even then, it was a very short bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a really well put together documentary. Yeah. Very, very interesting and concise. That
one was probably my favorite, but part of me wonders if, like, was it my favorite because the others were so long and I was just tired of it, and it was like, this is a great short one. I really liked that.
Well, and it was, I think, the most concise. It was kind of a Cliff Notes thing, or Spark Notes.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, it hit all the main points. It talked a little bit about, like, outside circumstances and human interference, mm-hmm. but it didn't go into those hardcore. Like, it was really just kind of the basic information. You know, it talked about the fact that an Arctic fox has very thick fur, that they can stand temperatures up to whatever mm-hmm. amount. You know, this is how it stores food. This is its mating. It was just more informational than it was anything else. Yeah. Like I said, it really felt like something I would have watched on PBS as a kid. Oh, yeah. Well, and they have a YouTube channel, like, with 50 or 60
Yeah, I need to look them up, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would suggest it. But yeah, it was very informative and just a good, solid piece of documentary work. Yeah. So, the next thing we did was another short block. Man, we saw so many movies today of all lengths. So, the first one up, this is more kind of animation specific. Like, it wasn't 100% animation, but... It wasn't 100% animation, but it was like the most animation that I think we're going to get. I don't remember what we're seeing tomorrow, but this, I think, is like the most of what we're going to get for animation. We have a student block tomorrow, so there might be some animation
there is some in that, yeah, that's true.
But this one was... there were some live action with animation, but then there were some outrightly fully animated pieces done in a wide variety of formats, too. Yeah. This block, I will say... This is my favorite block that we watched. It had my absolute favorite thing I've seen the whole
festival. I don't think anything is going to top it. It also had the worst thing that I think I've seen the whole festival, and I don't think anything is going to top it.
No, I would agree with you there. And the thing is, there were good bits to even the stuff that wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to not necessarily the technical aspects, but more the story or the plot aspects.
Yes.
So the first thing up was called In the Still of the Night, which was a student film. I didn't realize that.
That was a student film?
That was a student film.
They did a really good job there.
Oh, it's fantastic. The idea is it was, I think Spanish. Yeah, I think it was Spanish.
Yeah, it was a Mexican family.
Yep, exactly. So it was celebrating of the Day of the Dead. The mom and dad don't necessarily believe in the power of like putting up an altar to honor your elders that have passed on, but their son was, and it kind of turned into a Santa Claus scenario. He's like, "Oh, when can I see him?" Because I guess
it did kind of have that feel, didn't it?
It did. It was just like, I mean, questions that kids will ask. But it was a lot of, can I meet him? Because the grandson didn't get the chance to meet his grandpa before he passed away.
Yeah.
But so it kind of ran into that, and then the animated bit for this was relatively small, but still very sweet. It was a butterfly that came and kind of landed on Jesus or Jesus. Sorry, Jesus from Veracruz.
The kid's name was Jesus.
Yes, exactly. But it was very, very sweet. It was probably in my top 3 for the shorts in this block.
It was a really well done story.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was just it was a tear for me. It was a tearjerker. But it was really cool.
Yeah,
so,
I really liked that one.
Just a sweet story, and it didn't try to be anything other than what it was.
Yeah. It was just a small story telling the story of a child meeting his grandfather for the first time.
And then it was dedicated to the director's grandpa who had passed away. And it was really heartfelt.
Yes.
It kind of did what Coco did on a much smaller scale without the magical dog.
Yeah. Well, there was a Xolo there in the background of one of the shots.
That's right. That's right. Not quite as dramatic, but certainly the same heart.
Yeah.
The next one up was, I think, arguably both of our favorite, if not top 2.
It was my favorite, definitely.
And it's called Soapbox. So, like Soapbox Racers.
Yes.
And
like little kids building racing cars.
Oh, it was so fun. So you have like these 5 different teams, and one of them is a weird adult. Doesn't make any expressions.
I've never seen Mad Max, but this felt like a kid's version of Mad Max from like clips that I've seen of Mad Max. Just these ridiculous cars racing down a mountain.
Yep. It was all what you would expect like a kid's drawing to look like. Like the fire was...
Yeah, the animation was all incorporated in puppetry also.
Yep.
In ways that, like, they're not going for realism, they're going for kids' imagination. And it was just so well done.
Absolutely.
Like, all the different things that the cars could do. The magical gun that can give things wings. There was a gun that shot kittens, and then to avoid the kittens, they shot the kittens with the wing gun, so the kittens grew wings and flew away. It was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous, but so well done.
Oh, it was fantastic. And we found it online, and not the actual movie, but like the page talking about it, and the amount of festivals that it's been entered into
and won awards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a long page of awards. Like, this thing is great.
Oh yeah.
Like, I hope there's a way soon for people to watch this thing, because it was so good.
And some of the things that come out of nowhere, like the guy in the trench coat specifically, without giving it away, the thing that happens, like the entire room busted out laughing.
The whole room burst out laughing.
It was so unexpected.
It was so good.
Yeah. And, the main character was this kid who had never won the race, and he had a little partner that was a puppet.
It was a puppet dinosaur thing.
Yeah. But at one point he puts on a mustache, and like kid's 10 or 12, and it's so weird because the mustache fits.
It looks like he actually could wear this mustache and it looked real.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked like Nick Offerman. But it was just adorable, and it was from Canada. I think it was French, so it was.
I guess it was French Canadian. I thought it was a French film, but when you looked it up, I guess it was from Canada, so French Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. The next one up was called Prout.
That's probably my second favorite one.
Oh yeah, this was all claymation.
Yes.
Claymation. That one was French or Belgian?
Belgian.
No, Belgian, yeah. And oh my god. So basically, the idea is there's a rocket there's a rocket ship dump truck that blasts off from Earth, goes to this planet, and it's basically like a junk planet.
Yeah. It's like the universe's garbage dump.
Right, it's like Earth from WALL-E.
Yeah.
At the very beginning.
Except it's not run by drones or droids. It's like little aliens that
clean it up.
Clean the planet. Like it's a garbage dump. I don't know how much cleaning they're doing, but they're patrolling in some way. So
all this stuff is floating around in outer space. These two little yellow claymation guys are trying to do whatever it is that they do. All of a sudden, like a early 2000s Mac computer comes flying through the atmosphere.
One of those ones with the clear, colorful back.
Exactly. And it hits the poor worker guy in the head and knocks him. He's like
flattened.
Absolutely flattened, yeah. And then they call for help, and the medic and this other noodle guy go to find them. And they're accompanied by these little black creature spider morph things that like to fart.
They're kind of like a goofier version of the soot sprites from a couple different Studio Ghibli movies.
Yes, absolutely that. That's actually what I was thinking of during the movie. But then at one point there's a cruise ship that comes overboard and it's dropping all manner of waste and junk, and it's ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. This is a full-on cartoon.
Oh, it is. And there's a thing that happens at the end, and you're just sitting there going, it's in such an awkward moment. You're just kind of like laughing, like, oh, can't, yeah. I don't even know how to describe that, but yeah. So
this felt like what could have been one of a series of shorts. Like, I wanted more of these aliens.
Absolutely. Actually, it had a lot in common with something like Pingu.
Okay, I don't think I've seen clips of Pingu. I've never watched a full episode of Pingu.
It's kind of that cheek, like it's incredibly cheeky, and it's made for a kid crowd, but you can see how there's subversive elements that work really well for adults. Like the whole cruise line thing. Like, it's not to that level, but like with Pingu at one point in his early episodes, he like peed on the floor, or he smashed his brother over the head, or there's this sea lion that's known just to scare people. Like
the walrus. I've seen that
the walrus,
clip.
Yeah,
the horrifying walrus.
Exactly, but things like that, like it's done in a very cheeky way, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was Prout, and it was really, really adorable.
Mm-hmm. I wanted more of that one also.
Oh, 100%. I could have taken a good chunk of these.
Mm-hmm.
The next one was called The Rain, which was based off of a poem.
Oh, I forgot about that one. It was so short.
It was very short. Beautifully animated, though.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just talking about how, you don't know how many days that you're going to have. Like the birds of the air, they just kind of go and do their thing, and they live for today, and they don't really worry about it beyond that. Mm-hmm. So it was beautiful. It was very well done.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a ton else to say on that one.
No, like I said, I forgot about it because it's very short.
Yes. It is a 3-minute or maybe 5-minute deal.
I wouldn't even say it was 5 minutes. It went by real quick.
It did. Next one up was called The Croak Show. I think it was actually done in Unreal Engine. I don't quite remember.
I think at the end, one of the logos was for the Unreal Engine.
Yeah, but it was very well animated. It was all 3D animation. Basically, it was, I think it was Indian in origin. And it just...
That would make sense with the music. At first, I thought it was a theremin, but then it went on. I was like, no, this isn't a theremin. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what the instrument was. But they were using this instrument as the voice for a frog opera singer. Like, the frog was acting like an opera singer, but it's not opera at all.
Oh, see, now I got total diva, like, singer out of that frog.
Yeah. That's why it's like, it was like opera, but not opera.
I was thinking more like Britney Spears or someone that's like going up there, like putting their hand to their ear and just like, being...
That kind of a diva, not an opera diva.
Not an opera diva. I mean, it started out as an opera diva.
Yeah.
But then it kind of goes all Kiss the Girl, and you kind of pull in all these it's like a combination of Kiss the Girl with all the different instruments and like the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah.
Like with the kinds of creatures.
Yes, yeah.
And then at one point, near the end, there's this giant snake, and it just eats the main singer.
And she's singing as she's being digested.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I'm
The
sure
end.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe
It was great until it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, the acoustics inside of a snake's stomach, maybe they're good acoustics. I mean, who's to say?
It was odd. I liked it, but it was odd.
Yeah. I don't have anything against him personally. I thought it was, like, the animation was cool. The concept was neat. The music was great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it ended strangely, but I didn't really have an issue with the way it ended. I thought
it was fine. I prefer a happier ending.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I'm assuming that this frog is done for, so it's not a happy ending exactly to me, but...
Yeah, definitely no happy endings on that one for anyone involved.
I mean, for what we're coming to, this is fine. I'll watch this 1,000,000 times over before I watch the next one.
Speak of the devil. And this one just kind of started out of nowhere. It's Em and Selma go griffin hunting. Now, as a precursor to this, when I saw the blurb on it, you just kind of look it over. It's like, oh, that's cool. We've got a set of griffin hunters. There's going to be maybe not whimsy, but it'll be an interesting.
I thought
mythical...
it was like a cute fairy tale type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
It was awful.
Okay. Let me add an addendum there. The animation, the
animation, I didn't love the designs, but the animation was great.
Yeah, fantastic animation. The kid was an incredible actor. But John and I were talking afterwards, and the people behind it felt like they were either trying to work through some trauma, or they were making a very, there were statements or definite positions put out there. But it kind of got mixed up for me as to what exactly they were trying. Like, if it was a moral type message that was supposed to be put out there, I feel like it got a little lost in transition. Yeah,
because, the point of the short was, or, in this world, it's a rite of passage for a mother and daughter to go hunting, and the daughter has to kill a griffin, and the daughter doesn't want to kill a griffin. I'm warning right now, I'm spoiling the ending of this thing because I don't think you should watch it. So the daughter decides she's not going to kill a griffin. The mom gets mad. The mom kills the daughter for not killing the griffin.
Right.
It's what is the point of this? I don't like this.
Tradition over everything else.
Yeah. That's why I say I think someone had some sort of trauma having to do with their mother. And I don't want to be the type of person to say you need therapy instead of working it out through this, but I think this person needed some therapy if that's what was going on.
Maybe this was their therapy.
Probably. And if it helps them, good. But I don't want to watch it again.
No, that is very, very fair. Again, I would say that all the technical elements here were
it was a very well done short.
Yeah, no,
it was very well put together.
Yeah.
Well acted. I just don't ever want to watch it again.
No, I'm there with you. And it was, I will say that it was kind of cool to see that kind of conflict between a mother and daughter in this environment. I liked the fact that it was sort of gender flipped for what would normally be a father and son going off to do that same ritual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I could kind of see it coming. The more we watched it, the more those societal pressures were brought on by the mother. And you could see that things weren't going to end well. But yeah, it went places.
I wasn't expecting it to end well, but I wasn't expecting it to end with the mother killing the daughter.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is a very fair point. So I thought that maybe the kid would ride off with the griffins, or
that's what I thought it was going. I thought the mom was going to freak out, and the kid was going to escape with the griffins.
Yeah. Although, would you want to escape with a griffin that was like a camel / rat / dragon thing?
I guess I would prefer that to the mother.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
They were really hideous.
Yeah.
They were very well designed. It was a very good creature design. It's just when you think of griffin, you think majestic eagle lion creature, not half camel, half plucked turkey.
Well, it just goes to show that babies grow into their cuteness. Or something.
They need to have some more growing to do if they're going to attain any cuteness.
Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Next one up was quite a departure from... Well, sort of a departure, I guess. They do address death and such, but it was called Hatchlings.
I mean, anything is going to be better than that one. So it's a departure in a way better way, even if it is not as happy as you would want from what I was expecting. With previous ones, I was thinking we had just an all-around good time short block, and then we got nailed in the middle of it. So
that we very
anything
much,
is an improvement from what we just watched.
That's very, very true. So the idea of Hatchlings was, I guess, a blended family. So you had the dad and the daughter from a previous relationship. He meets a lady, they have a son, and then they're pregnant with their third child. And the mom and the son are kind of talking about how sea turtles and tortoises are different branches of the same family, basically. Yeah. They're both turtles. They're both, do all these things. And the stepdaughter and the son are kind of shown back and forth as having these two, like one is a sea turtle, one is a tortoise. And, there's conflict about, the daughter wanting to go back to live with her mom, doesn't feel cared for,
It's one of those things where it's the grass is always greener, because you can tell from the way the mom talks to her on the phone that she's in a much better place with the dad and stepmom than with her train wreck of a mother.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So things happen, and the pregnancy goes awry. The new baby is born well, but the mother dies. And then you have this family that has to kind of reform and go from there. So
yeah, it doesn't end on a happy note, but it's still better than the one we just watched.
It ends on a realistic...
It's bittersweet.
It's bittersweet. It ends on a good note for the stepdaughter.
You can tell that, for better or worse, the mother or stepmother dying is probably changed the daughter for the better.
Yeah, very much.
It sucks that it took her stepmother dying for that to happen. But
Exactly. But it was a well put together piece. They pull in little allusions to sea turtles and tortoises.
Yeah.
Through some of the characteristics of the kids, as well as some additional...
They do partial costumes, and then there's some animation.
Yep. So that was good. I am drawing a blank on this last one. Something Greater Than You? Do you remember what that was?
The raccoons.
Oh, that's right. So the last one was full stop motion animation.
Yeah, it was wool felted creatures.
Yep.
Stop motion animated. I think they're wool felted. I don't think they were stuffed creatures. I think it was felted.
They were definitely felted creatures. But so you've got a set of raccoons that are going back and forth, scaring each other with bird sounds on a set of Walkmans.
There was one had a Walkman, the other one had one of those kids. Yes, a kid's tape player. I had one of those when I was a kid.
Yep.
I don't think I had that exact model, but I had something like that.
Aw, I bet you it was adorable.
I used it all the time. I love that thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But all of a sudden they realize that some of the bird sounds they're hearing from outside is a bird that's in the snow. And
I think
they
it was
bring
a chickadee.
Yeah, it was some kind of chickadee, and they bring it inside and they try to warm it up, and they try to find the tape of the chickadee sound to help the bird feel more at home. And they go through all these different tapes. One is a romance on tape. One was educational language tutorials. One was about the sounds of dogs. It was very cute, despite the kind of bittersweet of will the bird survive or not.
Spoiler alert: it survives.
Yes. This isn't another M and Selma go griffin hunting.
No, I think that thing must have traumatized me, because when they first pulled the chickadee inside, I was like, the raccoon's gonna eat that chickadee, isn't it? I was expecting something dark and bloody to happen. Thankfully, I was wrong.
Absolutely. And we're happy for you. Because the last thing I'd want you to be is traumatized at the Julien Dubuque Film Fest. But that kind of sums up that particular block. Our last thing of the night that constitutes the traditional kind of features and shorts was a thriller, horror, sci-fi movie called Landlord. And like a few other things that we've seen, there was a lot of really good elements. I'm not sure that it came together quite as well as you could have. the story was actually really, like, the idea of it was really interesting. Because with vampires, a traditional, one of the traditional things is you have to invite them in. Mm-hmm. And this movie kind of asks what happens if the landlord is the vampire.
Mm-hmm. So he doesn't need to be invited in. He can just walk in.
Exactly. And that's that was kind of the premise. There were some interesting shots. They got their money's worth out of the red, like, accent lights.
They did.
Oh my god. It takes place in probably a, like, working class neighborhood kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But this woman who's a bounty hunter is going to try and track down a briefcase from a guy that stole money or something. Like,
I was never clear on what exactly she was doing and why she needed this briefcase back and why the guy, like, who she worked for. It was never clear to me. That was, like, my biggest problem with it. I was never sure what exactly was happening.
I kind of took it as she was, like, bounty hunter or, like, headhunter, or not a headhunter.
She was, in the credits, she was listed as bounty hunter.
Okay.
She was never named. That was another thing I was confused by. Like, I never, like, did I miss her name? Because I didn't think that anyone ever called her by name, but she was just credited as bounty hunter in the end credits.
Well, and she kind of plays things as very, like, anonymous.
Yes.
Across the board. I kind of took it as, like, it maybe like a mafia kind of thing, or, you know, mob boss. That's kind of the way I played it, or the way I kind of took it.
I think that they were probably going for it to be mysterious, which, if that's what they're going for, great. And I almost feel like it was to the detriment of the film, because I didn't care about any of these characters because I didn't know anything about them.
That's fair.
Like, I was never bored watching the movie. Like, I'm not a horror person, so this is not really my cup of tea, but I was never bored with this movie. I was invested in as much as I was wanting to know what happens, but in a movie like this, like, if it's going to get, like, maybe it was to the better for me that I didn't care about anyone, because it was never a point where I was, like, feeling bad about anything. Like, if I'm watching a horror movie and I care about the people, it's like, I don't want to see these people die. But for this, it was like, if they die, I don't care. And also, you mentioned you thought it was too dark, and I almost think that was to the better for me, because it hid anything that was, like, bloody and disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
It was all hidden in the dark, so, again, I didn't care. Like, this is fine. Like, I would watch this 100 times over before I watched the Griffin thing again.
You know, I'm glad that the bar is set for you at a certain level for everything going forward.
Yeah, so, this was not my cup of tea, but it was fine.
Oh, yeah, no. And obviously, you did this based on my request, because I'm always a fan of, because you go to a film fest, and oftentimes, unless it's specifically, like, horror, sci-fi coded, a good chunk of what you're going to see from, like, fictional pieces are more dramas and things like that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And we've seen some really good ones. But a really good horror movie at this level is not the easiest thing to do, despite the fact that there's horror movies being turned out, like, at crazy rates. It's just not a thing that you see as much of, unless, again, it's at a branded horror, sci-fi, fantastic fest kind of a thing. So I was really intrigued to see kind of what would come out of something like this. And the premise alone really caught my eye. Like, we talked about it. It was just a fantastic premise.
It is.
I feel like this would have been better as a really good short. I was never bored, but there's so much stuff that they didn't have time to flesh out. And I don't think you needed a lot extra, but there was, like, bits where it's like, do we really need this bit? And maybe, I don't know. It's easy to say when you're an armchair watcher of things. But
there were parts where it did feel like it was going on a bit too long.
Yeah. Like, they did this whole thing with, she had her dad's ashes. And
which I didn't realize that's what was going on. Until you told me after the movie. I was like, oh, I did not even realize that was what that jar was about. Right.
And there was a few other things, like, even, like, the thing that brought her to the complex in the first place. That whole bit, I mean, yeah, you know, you want to make sure that to show that she's doing other things and there's a reason that she's there. But it's not ever a thing that's really hit enough to make it stick.
This movie is like the definition of show, don't tell. And I feel like it could have used a little bit of telling.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that point. And I think it's a case, and I don't know. I need to look into the director to get a little bit better sense of like where he's at in his career. But like technically was very well done. The only thing I would say is, and it's a thing that happens with a lot of horror movies, there is that very fine line between dark for atmosphere and too dark to get the point across. And not even from a blood perspective, just like to be able to understand what's going on. Like with the vampire, I couldn't tell that he had contacts in, but I couldn't tell that he had contacts in until the second or third time that we saw him. And maybe the first time we see him, you're not supposed to get the idea that there's something outside the box about him other than he's like a killer of some sort. And the other thing, and this is more of a personal nitpick than anything else, I like the puke stuff. It's so overdone.
Yeah, I will say though, I've seen worse.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
The way they shot this puke scene, I prefer this to Pitch Perfect.
Yeah,
I like Pitch Perfect, but I do not know why they put in that barfing scene. This is fine in comparison to that, because it was just shown behind her, and then you kind of saw some of the aftermath. So in like I don't like it. I don't like throwing up, but like if you're gonna show puking, I prefer the way they did it here.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. Like I say, it's a personal nitpick, I think, more than anything else. But I thought that the actors were very good. I think the person that played the bounty hunter did a great job. Like she kind of had the stoic thing going, but she also knew when to let that go. The kid was good. The vampire was interesting. The only thing I guess that was one other thing, like for all those little moments that are supposed to add character development, you know, with the ashes with the bounty hunter, or with the vampire, like we see him longing for daylight, like he misses it. That's something that's been done so much in everything from Interview with a Vampire to, you know, loads of other ones, and I just, there wasn't enough there for it to make you want to say, hey, I care that, you know, I feel bad for this vampire not being able to see the sun, or, you know, this makes them more human, or this adds that dimension. It really didn't do that.
It never felt to me like they were trying to make the vampire feel more human. It was like he was a straight up bad guy. And...
Well, yeah, but I just mean like you have those extra emotions for him, like, you know, he is a killing machine, but he still has those elements of something besides the killer. Like there is regret because he can no longer feel the sun. He can't, you know, feel the warmth. He's, you know, the things that you miss, kind of a deal. Again, it's a small thing, but again, I thought technically, like the people that they got were well cast. It was like the way that they did the practical effects with blood and everything. The squibs were great. There was no issues there. Like there was a very competently done thing. It was well put together, like well edited. They used a drone to kind of show the vampire coming in through the window a couple of times, which was really, really cool. The apartment complex, I don't know if they owned or if they like had contacts that allowed them to use the apartment complex, but they did a nice job of making make things look like not shoddy, but a little shoddy, to kind of match the general tone of things. So yeah, overall pretty solid. Not perfect, but horror is difficult. It really truly is. It's not just, you know, tossing blood across the screen and calling it a day. So
yeah, for like I'm not a horror person, so I'm not the best judge, but like this is fine. Like it's not something I'm going to be in a hurry to rewatch. I did not care about the characters, but like as a movie, I thought it was well done. Yeah, they could have just used tightening the script in some places, I think.
I would agree. I think, and I mean, with the movies that haven't done so well for us,
it's usually script issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of your framework, and, you know, something can look great on paper and not necessarily come together quite as much in the edit or when it's put together. But yeah, no, solid work. I mean, like a lot of the other ones, this was like written, produced, directed by, I think his name was Remington Smith. So, yeah, I think that's it. That's all and then obviously the 16 millimeter festival that they always do. But we already talked about that. So,
Yes.
So, fun stuff. Another day done.
Yes.
A very long day.
It was.
So
we were go the whole day.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So.
But yeah, if you watch anything that we've talked about, Soapbox.
Yep, absolutely.
The best
and Prout.
one. That too.
Yep.
Yeah, they were both very good.
Mm-hmm. Cute.
But Soapbox is the one like I need to see that again.
Yeah.
It was so good. I hope it ends up somewhere that is readily available for people to watch.
Absolutely. Well, and as a short especially, just because that, for any shorts, that is an uphill battle to get distribution or stuff beyond the very basics. So
yeah.
And it looked like it was through a relatively, like a decently well-promoted company. From what I looked at, just a little bit of research that I did on the company that was distributing them.
I feel like the fact that it has won so many awards gives it a better chance to get some sort of a better distribution.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Because a lot of the other shorts, I kind of think, like the ones we saw last year, I don't know that we'll ever see them again unless they put them on YouTube.
Right.
But I feel like with this one having won so many awards, somebody's got to pick it up for something somewhere.
Right. And there's always a need for good content, even on the short end of the stick. So whether it be like Mumbai, I don't know, MUBI. It's a format that a lot of kind of outside the box stuff goes to. Like it's kind of like a Quibi or something like that, where it's a lot of.
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's not new, but it's not something like it's not like Tubi, but it's
Mubi.
in that Mubi. But yeah, no, I definitely Soapbox. And I would say in the Still of the Night too. I don't know that it's like you talked about. It was a really well put together short, being that it's a student piece and also that it's not Soapbox. I don't know. You'd always hope that there would be something, but that's not as simple. I don't know where you'd start to distribute that. But yeah, tomorrow is the last day. Oh my God. Oof.
It went quick.
It did. It went very quick. So we'll have to do our recaps at that point. But
yeah.
All right. We'll see you on the flip side.
Okay.
Hey everyone, Jonathan interrupting again to talk about Croak Show. I know, what a random one to come back to, which again, despite my lack of love for the ending, was still a great short overall. However, the reason I wanted to come back to it was because after I finished editing this section, I started research for links to put in the description, and I found out that Croak Show was produced by Studio Eeksaurus, I think that's how you say that, which was the same studio that did another animated short that Sarah had showed me last year, Desi Un, another really great Indian animated short, though that one was stop motion and Croak Show was CGI. So I'm going to link to their YouTube channel in the description and also link to Desi Un itself if you want to watch that short in full. As far as I know, Croak Show isn't available, but I'd be willing to bet it would eventually show up on that YouTube channel in the future if you want to watch it. Also of note, a couple things on some of the films coming up on day 4. One of the films, Backstabbers, was made by the same group that submitted at least one of the films we saw last year, MBM Studios. They did The Hawthorne Horror, which is now available on YouTube. I will link to their channel below, but they are a pretty prolific studio that have done a ton of shorts over the years, and they are a really cool opportunity for kids to learn how to create and edit their own films. And speaking of cool opportunities for kids, another group we talked about last year was back with a new film, Crestwood Elementary. I will be linking to their YouTube channel. As of right now, the film we'll be talking about today, Timun is not likely to be available as they are still doing the rounds to various festivals, but the short they did last year, which we talked about, The Mistletoe Dart, is available to watch, along with others from previous years, so I highly recommend checking them out. Both The Mistletoe Dart and Timun were among our absolute favorites both years so far. Anyway, I think that's all for now. On to our final day at the Julien Dubuque International Film Festival.
Our last day.
Man, it was not quite as full as yesterday.
Not quite. It was still pretty full, though.
It was. We didn't also have the weird stuff at the end either.
No. It was mostly normal.
Yeah. What is normal but setting on a dryer? Well, we kicked off our day. It was yesterday was a lot of shorts and a few less features, or documentary/features. Today was a lot more feature length and a lot fewer relatively speaking, shorts.
Yeah, we just had one short block today.
There were quite a few in there, but we'll talk more about that a little bit more when we get there.
Yeah.
So first one up was A Moment in the Sun, which talked about the solar eclipse in April of 2024 and a town that was at the, ended up being the best viewing availability for the total solar eclipse. A little place at the very edge of Maine called Holton. It followed a few different people that were, like, one was a business owner, one was a coordinator for the activities. There was an astrophysicist on hand that just happened to live there, and kind of coordinated talks and understanding of kind of what was all going on.
And a couple that were getting married during the eclipse.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, that could either be a really good thing or a really bad thing.
I don't know. I mean, it worked out for them, so.
It did. 2 years later, they're still together, so good stuff for them. It was a really, just a nice, solid documentary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just an interesting look at a very short window of time during a very specific event.
Absolutely. And I know both of us have worked, well, you are currently working in media, I did work in media. We've both worked in those events where you have to get it right on the first try. Mm-hmm. And you can totally see kind of that level of energy you have to keep to be able to do what you need to do and get those shots that matter.
Yeah.
It was really interesting, though. They covered a lot of both the good and the bad, the sweet and the bittersweet of the event for people and their reactions. And it was well done. And I don't know. It looks like a really nice little town to go to.
It does, yeah.
So next one up was called What the Hell Happened? I think this was probably my favorite of the day.
I think it probably was my favorite also.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to gauge it against shorts because there was one really good short that I really liked. But I think this probably was my favorite of the day. Yeah.
The other one, the short that we'll get into in a little bit, was adorable just because it just was adorable. Mm-hmm. What the Hell Happened was the story of a guy who went on to become, I guess, like, he has his own production company. He obviously works in production across the board. He's worked in Hollywood. He's kind of worked a little bit of everything, really. So the story of What the Hell Happened, the guy behind it had 4, or I think it was 5 people that he was really good friends with in college. And he lost, over the course of time, like you do with friends in college, you kind of lose track. Mm-hmm. And over the course of the past 10 years, sort of?
Well, from the time, he filmed sort of a going away thing, at the end of college. So this is 30 years after the fact, because I think the initial interviews had been filmed in 92.
But yeah, so as of 2021, they would have been in their 50s, late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, 50s.
And some of them he hadn't kept track of real well, and others, they kept closer track just given where they lived. And
one of them is his wife. One of them is his cousin, so he knew where they were.
Yep.
The others he kind of had to track down, even though he sort of kept in touch with them over the years, once in a great while.
Yep.
But yeah, he knew where his wife was, obviously. And his
ideally
cousin,
speaking. So he did, they got together in 2021 and then 2023 and then 2024, I believe. And I mean, the stories were, it kind of broke it down by chapters as to where they were in 2021, and then the things that they were up against. There was cancer diagnoses, there was all of the stuff that life throws at you. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of it, and it was just the passage of life and kind of expectations versus, where you end up. And
it was just really well done. It's a really simple idea, but it was really well executed. Mm-hmm. And he was a great interviewer. So he talked to the people both back in 92 and nowadays, the few times that he talked to each one, following up. He asked great questions. They went and did different things, and it was just really, really well done.
It was. And, visually, it was, I know we talked a little bit about the graphic work. The graphic work was kind of set up like a scrapbook.
Yeah, the animation and transitions and different things. It just gave it a really unique look. It elevated it beyond just a simple set up a camera and interview your friends
Right.
type thing.
And it wasn't just talking heads, and all of them were just dynamic characters.
Yeah.
Like, just very, very interesting people that had been through a lot and had various levels of success in various aspects of life. And there wasn't like a specific influence on, well, you know, I worked here and I worked there. It was more kind of like it was general, but it gave you what you needed to be able to see the people for what they were.
Yeah, they were just normal people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were big famous people. Like even the guy who made it, he's not like a famous person in Hollywood. He's
No.
probably more a behind the scenes type thing. Like I think the biggest thing he talked about working on was the reality show Hoarders.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure what he did on Hoarders, but I don't think he was a face on the channel.
No, definitely
Or the-
not. He
the
was
show.
definitely on the technical end of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think they said they had, even from the 92 stuff, there was something crazy like 40 hours of footage or something. Which with any documentary, you're going to have more than you know what to do with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredibly well done, and there was a lot of comments from the crowd because the director, his wife, and then 3 of the other guys that they interviewed were all there, and you know some of them were semi-local, but like Matt and his wife were both from away, so I mean they didn't come from just down the street.
Yeah.
But you could tell a lot of the people that kind of came up through that era, it resonated with them.
Yes.
I mean, that's Gen X, the classic Gen X.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. It was really, really well done.
Very well worth searching out whether you're of that age or not. Because I think it resonates. I mean, they were real straightforward about it. They're like, you know what? Because one of the questions that was asked was, you know, are you happy with where you're at? Or has life been good? And the answers were about what you'd expect, but still just to hear them from someone that's on camera and they were just very straightforward.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
The next thing that we had up was a short block that was all young filmmakers. And in this case, they technically have a separate area for students. Like there were other blocks that had student stuff, but this was specifically young filmmakers.
Some of it is students, but I don't know that there was anybody there. We had to leave, didn't we? So I don't know who all was there.
Mind Over Matter was there, and I believe Way of Life.
Okay,
was
so
also there.
I don't know if they were students or not.
I'm not sure. And they didn't specifically say. They were listed specifically as young filmmakers. Now, one in here is obviously student, but
Yes.
the rest is kind of up in the air.
So the first one up is called Backstabbers.
Kind of a Knives Out type of a thing. It was
kind of a spoof of Knives Out. Yeah.
100%, yeah. And it was sort of dark comedy, sort of thriller, sort of suspense.
I would say dark comedy, mostly, because I didn't feel very suspenseful.
No.
I kind of knew where it was going, but...
Yeah. Well, you had your Benoit Blanc type character, and there was a really great twist with him. Like, you can see it coming, but it was still a really fun twist.
Yeah.
They even had a character called Dave that showed up, and that was kind of a spoof off of the guy that's staying with Edward Norton on the island in Glass Onion. So they had some fun bits. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a whodunit, kind of the leader of the pack character. That
kind of a classic mean girl gets
Very
murdered,
much.
and then it's like, who killed the mean girl? And it's all people who had motivation to kill her that are being interviewed.
Exactly. And then it's a question of, like, there's a lot of punny wordplay, and it was, like, the script was sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Yep. I think of the shorts that we watched today, this was probably my number 2.
I think it probably was my number 2 as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Next one up was called Instant, and it was a boyfriend and girlfriend that were, I think they were in LA. I think they were in LA because they went by like the Opera House and a few other things.
Okay, yeah.
But the boyfriend had a Polaroid camera, and he took pictures of all this stuff, and they were talking about memory and how to remember things. He's getting a shot of something in the sky. I think it was a balloon, and he gets hit by a car, which that scene was actually very well done. Mm-hmm. But he loses his memory, and his girlfriend does everything she can to try to bring him back.
Using the Polaroids and camera.
Exactly. So, next one up is called Mind Over Matter. And this was kind of in that same vein of like not tragic romance, but sort of in that realm, I guess.
Yeah.
You had this guy who had a kind of seem like off again relationship with a girl. She ends up being in a tragic accident, and at the same time, he's trying to come up with sort of a time machine.
I don't know exactly how you would classify this. Like, this is not a time travel trope that I see very often, but it's the one where you travel through time by jumping back in your own body. Mm-hmm. So you have all the memories from your future self, but you're in yourself from the past. But in this one, it was odd because his past self and his present self were communicating with each other like they were two different people.
Mm-hmm. His mind was split, basically.
Yeah.
I do give them credit. They did a great job with the kind of visuals. The CGI was really well done. Mm-hmm. The acting was solid. Like, it was just an across-the-board, very well done student or young filmmaker piece of work.
Yeah, it was.
The next one up is called My Recollection. And this felt like almost like a two-person stage play more than it did a short.
Was this the Romeo and Juliet type one?
No, this was the, you have the husband and wife who were out to dinner.
Oh, yeah. That one was so short, I forgot about it.
That's why we have a list. So there's a husband and wife, and it's one of those things where the husband looks about 10 years older than the wife, which obviously can happen.
She looked like she was like 16, and he looked like he was like 26.
Yeah, if not more. But, I mean, there is some room for...
I mean, I figured it was... I was thinking of these as student films, so I just assumed that this was...
Yeah.
I don't know who made it. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was her that was making it. I could be wrong.
And the thing is, with some of them, they don't necessarily have credits.
Hey everyone, just breaking in here to correct a couple things. I'm fact-checking as I edit. Number one, despite our confusion about whether this was a young filmmaker's block or a student block, it was definitely both. Every short in this block was made by students. The previous film, Mind Over Matter, was, I believe, entirely written and directed by and starred a 16-year-old, Wes Tian, and then his co-star, Shayna Yukana, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, was actually the director of this current short, My Recollection. So if we mention young filmmakers anymore, just know that we did not need to make a distinction. These are all student films.
But it was a husband and wife that were celebrating an anniversary. They had clearly been fighting, and all of a sudden, the husband leaves the table. He's found dead in the bathroom, and the wife goes, "Oh, well, it could have been the waiter." And then beforehand, you see her slip something in her purse while she's getting ready, and is practicing her sad widow voice. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it was very short. Like, it was very obvious what was going on. Like, that was one reason why I was thinking of this as a student film, because this didn't feel like something that just a regular filmmaker would do because it's so short.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 3 minutes max.
It had a very simple story, though, too. Like, it didn't need to be long.
Yeah.
But...
It was well done for what it was.
Yeah.
But like I said, I completely forgot about it because it was so short.
The next one up was, I think... for both of us, our absolute favorite. And yes. I'm going to let you say this because I'm going to screw it up.
It's Timun Mas. Was it Javan?
I believe so.
A Javan legend or fairy tale. It's one of those fairy tales where a woman wants a child and then goes to a mythical creature and is granted a child with strings attached.
Mm-hmm. It's Thumbelina.
Basically. But this one was, the little girl was born from a cucumber plant, and then the ogre that gave her the seeds to grow the cucumber plant is going to come back in a certain amount of time and eat the girl, and they have to fight off the ogre. But this is one, like we talked about one last year that was done by elementary students. Mm-hmm. This is that again, the same school.
Absolutely.
And it is really good. Like, these are elementary students doing a full-on animated short feature, voicing it, animating it. Mm-hmm. I think he wasn't there to talk about it this time, but last time I believe another class scored it also.
Yep, between the 4th and 5th graders, I don't know if it's a class per se or something that they did weekly, but it's a year-long project where the 4th graders are responsible, with supervision obviously, for some parts of it, like specific bits, and then the 5th grade are responsible for other bits. Mm-hmm. Voiceovers are all done by students. You've got multiple models for each character done by all the different students. They have all the different mouth movements and their eyes blink at everything. Incredible work.
It's so good.
It is. And it's such a unique way to teach. Because there's no way that students at that age would be learning about, they might learn Greek and Roman mythology, but to get more in depth on all of these other myths and legends from areas of the world that you may not consider normally.
And incorporating that into a class, learning how to animate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
These are kids.
Yeah.
And they do such a good job.
They absolutely do. And it's everyone in the class is involved.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, the one last year was amazing. I think it might have been a tad longer, but the story was incredible. It's... And
funny.
Yes. Adorable.
Yes. Really funny. Last year they had a joke where the short was interrupted by an unskippable YouTube ad. This year they did something similar, but they worked it into the story in a way that was hilarious, because the mother goes to a hermit to try and find a cure or something to get her daughter out of this situation with the ogre. And the hermit gives her 4 bags of stuff.
That's seeds, needles,
fish paste,
and something else.
But the bags of stuff are literally called bags of stuff. But then as the hermit is giving her the bags of stuff, they're interrupted by basically an infomercial for what you would get for a drug ad, talking about all the side effects of the bags of stuff. But then the infomercial was animated differently by using collage magazine cutouts. It was just so creative.
It was so fun. And just the little extra addendums too, the ogre is drowning in the fish paste that made everything mud, and he goes under, and then you just hear this bloop, and it was so cute.
These kids are really funny.
They absolutely
so creative.
are, and they play into it, which is amazing. Okay, next one up was, so we went from absolutely adorable to just gloom and doom, which...
This was the Romeo and Juliet one?
This was the Romeo and Juliet one. So it's called Where We Left Off. And there's 2 seniors that are supposed to be going to the same college. And the girlfriend finds out that the boyfriend didn't make it in. And she accuses him of lying to her because he had been drinking with his friends. And, if she can't trust him with this, what can she trust him with? And then he had been going through a lot to start with. So she leaves. He goes out into the river and presumably passes away. She ends up taking a bunch of pills and passing away in the bathtub, and it turns out that he's alive.
Yeah, and that's where it ends.
Yes. So again, another tragic, very Romeo and Juliet-esque.
As soon as he appeared to have drowned and she's dying in the bathtub, I was like, I bet he's not dead. I bet this is going in a Romeo and Juliet direction.
Yep.
They didn't end exactly Romeo and Juliet ends up with him finding her dead and then him killing himself. So they didn't quite go that far, but it was basically the same, where she thinks he's dead and then kills herself.
Absolutely. I mean, it was well shot. And
it was really well done.
Yeah.
It was just a downer.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But, teenage angst.
it really felt like a teenage angst type thing.
Oh, God, yeah. When it started, even with the title, it reminds you of, those Mandy Moore movies from, the early 2000s. The tragic romance kind of thing. Only I don't think those ended in death, but either way. The last one was called Way of Life, and this one was kind of an outlier. Not that
this one felt like a student project, like a social studies project, rather than a short film.
Agreed.
It was sort of a documentary, I guess it could be classified.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it was sort of... I think you've got it right on. Basically, it was a whole bunch of different students and teachers with either backgrounds or they themselves were from somewhere other than the States. So everything from the Ivory Coast to Mexico to South Korea. And basically, the teachers and students answered different questions about where they were from, the things that they run into. A series of different questions, just
Questions about their culture.
Yep.
Things
Exactly.
they've faced in their life.
Exactly.
It was interesting.
It was very much. And then it ended with a Walt Whitman poem about traveling the world and being not inclusive per se, but like, because inclusive isn't the right word, but like the fact that people come from all over, they're not that different kind of thing. It was a cool little piece, and you could tell that they really put a lot of work into it. So, and then the very last thing that we watched was called The Realm of Eldervin.
And this was a feature.
Yes, this was a feature. It actually was going on at the same time as the awards ceremony, which we'll get into in a little bit with some of the awards based on things that we've seen that won awards in some way, shape, or form. This felt very much, it's kind of fantasy oriented, very kind of Lord of the Rings inspired.
When you first suggested this one to me, I looked at the poster and thought, this is a Lord of the Rings ripoff.
I did too.
And it kind of was. Like, they did their own thing with it, but it was a Lord of the Rings ripoff.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like...
It was very well done for an independent film, though.
Yeah. Like, we kind of discussed it before we got into, obviously, recording this. With fantasy stuff, especially the sword and elves kind of genre, there's only so many directions you can go. And, anytime you put dwarves, men, and elves into a story... If you pull, a fancy sword out of the mix, you're going to kind of have that same thing. It did do a lot of its own stuff, and I think it had some success there. I
appreciated that they didn't try to make it a direct Lord of the Rings ripoff. Like, It was obviously very inspired by Lord of the Rings, but they did their own thing with it. And for what it was very well done. Like, seemingly all shot on location in some really great-looking places.
All in England. Well, England and Wales.
Yeah, and very decent for the budget special effects. Like, if this had been made in the 90s, this would have been fantastic. But it was so long. I was so ready for it to be over by the end.
Well, and we discussed it in the same way that Landlord, which we spoke about in the last episode, this, there was a lot of good. Technically, actor-wise, the place where this kind of hit some hitches was probably in, as you kind of said, the plot and the story.
Yes.
This and Landlord both would have made fantastic, hour, I don't know if you'd call it a short at an hour, but, a little bit more compact stories. And I hesitate to say this because I do understand it was a small crew. You only have so much time to be able to grab what you need. The limits of an indie film are genuine limits. And I guess trying to know how to hit something out of the park and be within those bounds is not always a simple thing. I mean, their crew was very small, but I would say a good 50% of this felt like the Two Towers, like the joke about them spending the entire time walking.
Yeah, kind of.
When stuff was happening, and there was some decent fights, there was very good CGI, excellent shooting and everything else. There was a lot of interesting stuff going on, but the rest of the time, there were things that you could have gotten rid of and the story would not have changed.
Yeah, there was a lot of things where things would just happen, and it didn't really seem to matter to the plot. And sometimes things would just happen, and I wouldn't really know what was actually happening.
Yeah.
Some of it was a bit incomprehensible.
Yeah, and it's hard to say, again, having a director there might have been able to shed some light on some of those elements. But at 8 o'clock, when the thing is, the award ceremony is going on.
If they're here, they're at the awards ceremony.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I don't want to say too much about it because this... technically, costumes and locations and the way that it's shot, the way that they did the CGI, the way that they handled the villain had a very unique look to it. There was a lot of good to this, but the script needed tightening something fierce.
Yes. For an indie film, it looked amazing. Far better than you would expect something like this to look.
Absolutely.
It's just, it was so long.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, my background is obviously on quite a lot of not so great movies that a lot of them either run independent or they're like movies that you would see on Sci-Fi Channel. And there's a lot of movies that follow the same kind of fantasy trope.
Yeah.
And I am not judging it against them because this was so well done. Like
I went into this expecting a Lord of the Rings ripoff, but thinking it was going to be better than that, but fearing that it was going to be like an Asylum film.
Right.
And this is way better than an Asylum film.
Oh, yeah. Not even in the same ballpark.
No. Asylum is...
cheap and...
Yeah. Asylum cuts all the corners. This cut no corners.
Then in fact, it actually probably, for the good things, needed to cut something.
It could have cut a few more corners and maybe tightened things up a bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, this is way better than any Asylum film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, they completely aimed for the fences for this.
You could tell this was someone's passion project.
Oh, 100%. Well, the one of the main guys behind it, he did everything. He was also one of the main actors. I think he directed, he was an executive producer, he did editing. There was a few other things that he did as well. In addition to playing, I think, not the main lead role, but one of the major roles. So, it was a small crew. For all of the things that were going on, they had a large crew of extras, but the main cast or the main crew was very small.
Yeah.
And you look at the scope of this. I don't know how long it took to make, but it was impressive on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
So
it looked very impressive.
It did. It very much did. Yeah. So as far as awards went, we kind of scrubbed through the awards ceremony on YouTube and found a couple that we had seen. So Best Young Filmmaker Award was Mind Over Matter, which was in our short block today. Was the guy goes to the future,
the time
travel one. Best short honorable mention went to Something Greater Than You, which was
The Felted Raccoons.
Yep, which we saw yesterday, and it was on the animation block. Audience choice was one I had seen called Driftless. Basically, it was a horror anthology. I saw it before John got here. It was a fantastic wraparound story about a guy that works at an antique store, and every piece in there has a story. And he told 3 of the stories, and then the 4th item is both at the beginning and at the end as part of the wraparound. And it was done by a local filmmaker who also works heavily in video production. It was incredibly well shot, gorgeously edited, just across the board. Really, really excellent movie. But I think because it had a hometown crowd, I don't think it was not going...
It kind of swayed the vote a little bit.
Oh, 100%, yeah. But it was, despite those connections... Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then honorable mention for documentary feature, Last Picture Shows was also the winner there. So we saw a couple that were, woohoo, so...
Yeah,
yes.
I still say Soapbox needed to win something.
Oh, agreed. That was so good.
Like I said yesterday, I didn't think anything was going to beat it, and nothing beat it. It was the best thing that I saw this whole festival. It was so, so, so good.
Well, that does raise the question in retrospect. What would you say that were your top 3? Short or feature? Or if you need to break it out, feel free to break it out.
I mean, well, obviously Soapbox. Timun Moss is probably right up there. I really like those little aliens, Prout or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Prout was excellent.
Yeah. And then documentary, probably What the Hell Happened. Yeah, I think that's probably it.
I could see that. For myself, I'm kind of with you. I think our interests are kind of in that same realm. Final Conflict for me was...
Oh, that could be an honorable mention for me. Yeah.
That and Soapbox were probably my top 2 shorts. Timun Moss was right up there as well, though. And then Prout was just fun. Of the things that we saw, Last Picture Shows was probably...
That was way up there, too.
Yeah, that and What the Hell Happened were probably my top 2 documentaries. I don't know, for feature film... They were all pretty solid. There was a couple I saw earlier in the week. One was called Narcissa's Will out of Brazil that was incredible. Very slow burn, but it was this daughter who's cleaning out her mother's house after she died, and it kind of deals with grief and trying to define yourself against what your mother is and everything else. It was a very well put together movie. Mm-hmm. And the main actress plays both the mother and the daughter, and it's incredibly well done. So I think that's about it for me. Oh, Driftless too was awesome. Awesome movie. So yeah, I think that's that kind of puts to bed JDIFF 2026.
Yeah, it went quick.
It did. It very much did.
It didn't help that 2 of our days were pretty short, because just a couple things when I first got here, and then our first official day we only saw 2 things, but then the last 2 days were packed.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, you don't, as much as you need to fill in those times, you don't want to go see things that don't necessarily trip your trigger, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could have packed in more stuff, but we didn't want to just see things to see things. We wanted to actually want to see them.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, movie burnout, even if it's good, is still movie burnout. So
I mean, that could have been part of what made, what was the last one called, Eldervin?
Yeah, I think that probably was part of that was probably part of it.
I think I was just kind of ready to be done for the day, because it was like approaching 10 o'clock, and it's like, when is it going to be over?
Well, and we had tiramisu in the car, and I mean, tiramisu tops damn near anything outside of, Tim and Moss or anything like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a really solid couple of days. We met some really interesting people.
Yeah. Talked to some really cool filmmakers.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look forward to doing this again next year if you're up for it.
Yeah, totally.
Rock on. Good stuff. And as with last year, the sponsor reels, obviously a very important part, but oh my goodness. God help them. I don't know where they're taking Brandon Gurrell next, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Nobody's going to even know what we're talking about with those, but
not even a clue. In this case, yes. If you've been to JDIFF, you'll understand. You know what?
It's a local commercial. If you know what a local commercial is like, it's like that times 3.
Yes. I mean, he's a consistent face, and he certainly pulls off, like, lovable cringe.
Keyword being cringe.
Yes, very much, very much. If you are allergic to cringe, come about 6 minutes late, and still thank the sponsors, because without them, this stuff wouldn't go down. But overall, yeah. I don't know if there's a lot else to say. Hopefully next year we won't have the weird experiences of going from one extreme to the banjo man from the 70s to
bone shaking techno at the bar.
You know what? We still got some damn good Cajun out of the deal, so I still consider it a victory.
Yeah. It was a night to remember.
Oh, that it was. They had to be there, but hell, that's okay too. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me, John. I appreciate the fact that you came all the way here. It's so nice to have someone to watch these with and to discuss them with.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Before last year, I'd never been to a film festival, and now I love film festivals. Yeah. It'll be fun to continue doing them.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess see you next year.
All right. Bye. We won't see you between now and then, though, clearly. Wink.
Yeah. Well, see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. All of our links will be in the description below. If you'd like more podcasts like this one, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you'd like to support this show, check out Joncast Media on Patreon for everything here, plus bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.